Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and I'm so excited today to be joined by Dara Renee to talk all about High School Musical, the musical, the series. And I wanted to go back to talking about your initial audition for the series, because I love the fact that Courtney was kind of the final character that you auditioned for, and you had actually gone in and read for other female characters in the show. And I was interested in just the scope of the show that really gave you, and the opportunity to really understand the voice of how they were going to tell the story, because obviously you'd grown up a huge fan of the movie series, but you never know kind of what aspects are going to carry over. And so how do you feel like by the time you auditioned for the character of Courtney, that you really had an intrinsic sense of what they were envisioning for the series specifically?
Ooh, well, first of all, I thank you so much. Not a lot of people know that, period. But I actually went to the open call in 2015 when they were like making a High School Musical 4, like before it was like a series or anything. And it was like thousands and thousands of people. And I was like, Lord, please just let them look at me twice. Like, that's all I want. And they did. And I actually like got a call back, and I got a letter from like some of the casting directors, and they were like, yeah, we're going to create something a little later, and we want you to come back and audition. And I was like, literally, I will play a tree in this franchise. Whatever you guys need me to do, I'm here. And then finally they called me in, and the first character I went in was for Ashlyn. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this character. But you know, when you go in a room and they already have an idea who they want. So I was like, as soon as I got in the room, I was like, I have a feeling that this part is already cast. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be an Ashlyn. I feel like they already have their Ashlyn. And it was Julia Lester, who absolutely slays. And then I went in for Gina. And me and Sophia were actually in the waiting room together, and we had known each other because I did Freaky Friday and she was on Andy Mack. And we were just talking, and we never told each other what part we were going for. And I was like, she's going for Ashlyn, or she's going for Nene. Like, I was like, I don't think you're going for the same part. And she was like, what part are you going for? And I was like, Gina. And she was like, oh, me too. And I was like, oh, shoot. I was like, I don't want to go anymore, because I already knew she was going to slay it. And by the time I read Gina inside of the room, they brought in Olivia. And I was like, oh, snap, she's reading for Gina too. Like, we're all up in here reading for Gina. And they were like, actually, we want you to read for Courtney, and this is our Nene. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. First of all, that was my first thought. I was like, she's slaying. And I finally read for Courtney. I did some improv. I did some like comedy with it. And me and Olivia were just like, I was so glad that she was going with everything I was doing, because I don't even know what I was doing. But she was such a queen about it. And they told me, just so you know, this character is only in one episode. And I was like, only in one episode? But I was like, it's okay. I'll take anything. And then I went in again, and people like my character, and they brought me back. And I'm just grateful to be back, because I'm not supposed to be here.
And you're bringing up there that final audition and that read with Olivia, that there was that opportunity to ad lib and to improv and to kind of play around with some of the comedy as well, which is so prevalent in the show, and your character is so great in that regard. What's the difference for you when you go into an audition room and there is that opportunity to try things in a different space, to have freedom to kind of bring your own perspective to a character, because that's not always something that you get the opportunity to do in the audition process?
Oh my gosh, it's literally like so fun, especially being able to play a character like Courtney, who's basically me, like gets straight A's, loves to do her makeup, is like a warrior, like literally like so many things that Courtney has, like I have too. So it was just fun, because it was just like I was talking as myself, and I was just like as if I was on like in high school in the lunch field, like I was just talking to my friend. It's really fun when I get to do things like that, especially because like my mom and I have a performing arts school for kids in Baltimore, and so we always teach the kids to improv, and so I like improv all the time and like have fun with it. And so when I'm able to do it, I'm like, oh, it takes me back home to Baltimore. Like, it just takes me back. I love it.
And you're also mentioning there with Courtney, you know, some of the things that she worries about, has a little bit of anxiety around. And I feel like that's so great that that's a part of a character, especially someone who comes across so confident. And how do you kind of like playing around or find the different spaces between something that is kind of smaller stakes? Like at the beginning of this season, there's a lot of anxiety around being separated from her phone for 2 weeks. And that's played to great comedic effect, but is a very real thing for her and feels very high stakes to her, against something where the stakes actually genuinely are really high for her, you know, or it's the nerves going into an audition or before opening night of a show.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially in this season, season 3, we really get to dive into like Courtney's vulnerability of that aspect, especially because Courtney has anxiety, which I do too. So it was fun to like also give like a realistic perception of anxiety throughout the season, which everybody will start to see throughout the season, and you start to realize like, wow, like a lot of people actually have to deal with this, and including myself. I know I said that twice, but I just had to let the people know because she's still struggling. But it was really interesting to also show that like she can have fun, like that doesn't define her, but it's something that she goes through and struggles with daily, and still finding aspects of humor within that, and being able to laugh after you cry. I know it sounds cliche, but I'm really glad that we were able to create Courtney in that aspect.
I mean, I love what you're saying there as well about getting to explore even more of her vulnerabilities, because I feel like since season 1, that's something that's come into the foreground with your character more and more, again, against that confidence and the humor that she has. When you look at the scripts, do you find it at this point fairly, straightforward to find the moments where you think there's going to be vulnerabilities or insecurities that you're able to play with, or is some of that still a little bit of discovery when you're filming certain scenes at times?
Ooh, that's a great question, period. um, yes, I would say it's a little bit of a mix of both, because I'll like read it and I'll already connect to it, but being in the scene and like actually like dealing with it in the spot, and having to create those real emotions, it's like you discover a lot. Like there's this one scene that I do within the show, and it's actually a really cute scene. I'm like talking to my mom, and um it was hard to like separate myself from that scene, because I related so much, and like my mom who plays my mom is my real mom. So I'm like talking to my mom about certain things, and I'm trying not to overwhelm myself in the scene, and it does happen, and I'm glad that it gives like a realistic visual of it on screen. But yeah, those moments are definitely like you never really know what's going to happen, especially when you deal with that on the daily, and then you're kind of just put in a scene where you're dealing with that. It's like kind of hard to not have it be triggered or have it be like come up. So it's a discovery, and a little bit of mix of both. I said that in such a long way, but yeah.
No, it's wonderfully detailed. And because of what you're saying as well, with the fact that there are so many elements that they're still adding to your character, that you're still getting to discover and learn about her, and new sides that you get to perform. How do you feel like, especially going into season 2 and then coming into season 3, that the scope of the character has changed for you? Because in the first season, you've mentioned previously that she wasn't as fleshed out, and so a lot more was on you probably to fill in the gaps when you were building a lot of her backstory and who she was as a character. And so how do you feel that scope and that relationship with the character has changed as there's been more in the writing to draw from the foundation that you built?
Oh yeah, I mean the character has truly changed so much, but in the best way. Like in season 1, I was very much the best friend and very much helping others, and in season 2 you slowly see Courtney come into her own and develop her own storyline, and like find love and realize what she likes and doesn't like. And then in season 3 you really get to step into Courtney and see her fears and what she likes and what she laughs at. But it's really fun to be a part of something where you can see the person that you're playing grow into like a whole new person, which is accurate to her because she's also like in high school and she's still learning about herself and she's still growing as a person. So like to actually witness that and be able to play her, it's so much fun. Like I love it so much, and I really love the direction that they're taking Courtney. And I feel like season 3, a lot of people are gonna relate to her struggles and relate to her comedic relief. Hopefully, get some laughs in there.
Did you find it fairly easy to find her comedic sensibility and what the comedic moments for her as a character were going to be, or how did you kind of find that side of her voice early on?
Oh my gosh, it was it's actually so funny because I remember a lot of people would tell me like comedy is the hardest, like because if you don't hit that punchline, then it's like it's over with. But I don't know, like being able to just have fun with my friends and like try to make them laugh within the scene, it just makes it so much more fun. So yeah, I love doing comedy, and I feel like comedy kind of just like fit me like a glove almost. I'm still learning how to cry on camera, but comedy has always just been the vibe for me. I was the class clown in high school, so it was just like coming into my own, being able to have fun. I loved it.
I love that, you know, and also with some of the growth as well that you've had the chance to kind of go through, that's also come in tandem with a closer collaborative relationship with the writers and with the creative team. And it sounds like, you know, you get to have a voice and they'll come to you with ideas and say, this is what we're thinking for your character. This is an idea that we have. What do you think? You know, what are some of the things that you have felt are really important to bring into those conversations that you've wanted to advocate to be a part of your character, or that you felt have been really important to certain storylines for her?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, one thing that I can say is our writers and the showrunner Tim Federle, I mean, they really like listen to us. Like I remember at the beginning of season 2 and season 3, like every time before we start filming, they come to us and are like, okay, so what do you see yourself doing with Courtney? Or like, how do you feel like Courtney would feel during this time? Or, you know, they really allow all of us to have a voice within our character. I mean, they of course bring the magic, like the magic and everything, but it's really cool to be able to not be afraid to talk to them and be like, oh, I think it would be really cool if Courtney did this, or can she wear her hair like this? Like, I think that would be really dope. Like they give us a lot of freedom throughout the series. And I couldn't have asked for like a better team to work with. I mean, not only are they so kind, but they're so accepting. And even this season, having to talk about something that I deal with, which is anxiety. So I was having a lot of say in that because I wanted to display a realistic image of such a common situation that a lot of people go through. And so it was really cool to talk about that and even write a song for the show in my own words about dealing with that. So it was really dope. They really give us a lot of power, a lot of say, but they do the most of the work. I just want to make that clear. They do most of the work. I'm just like a little 2-piece in there.
I'm so glad that you're bringing up writing a song as well within your character, because I was interested, you know, I know that you've been working on writing your own music off of the show as well, but how is that a totally different journey to go through writing a song and putting together lyrics through the lens of a character instead of writing it from your own personal perspective?
Oh, it was so scary because like I'm already like nervous about what people are gonna think of my music. So the fact that I was given such a great opportunity and I just wanted to make sure I made everyone proud. Like I was like, I hope they like it. Like I had some big shoes to fill. Okay. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like one of my cast members won 3 Grammys. Like goodness gracious. But once I did it, they put me with some people who could help guide me because I never had a music session. Like I never had a writer session before. Like a lot of firsts were happening in this season. But it was really cool. It was like kind of scary sometimes because I do rap and hip hop, and I was like, I don't know, Courtney. I feel like Courtney probably wouldn't do that in this moment, so I had to write a completely different genre, which was really new for me and a little scary. But I had great people who helped me, and I had great supporters, and literally the entire team from the showrunner to the writers to the crew and the cast have done nothing but support me and have calmed me down because I get nervous and I like, you know, start stumbling over my words like I'm doing now. But it's a really good experience, and I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to do this with. It was my first time. I was so nervous.
Do you feel like overall, especially when it comes to the musical numbers on the show, that your relationship with those nerves that you get beforehand, like you were saying, that that's still a part of it for you? Do you feel like your relationship with that has changed a little bit though? Because there's certain things where you're like, okay, I know how we're going to do this. I know the process of how it comes together. I know how I work with the rest of the cast if we're doing an ensemble number. And so how has that evolved for you?
Oh yeah, I mean, literally the cast is my family, so it's not even like, you know, I used to get so nervous doing a scene, like I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I doing good? Like, I hope I'm not throwing the other person off. But the cast and I are literally like glue, and we kind of just know each other's movements now since we've been doing it for so long. And it's really fun. And I must say, like, our dance numbers have gotten easier because it's like you already know, like, okay, she's a righty, like she likes to dance on her right foot, so I'm gonna slide this way. But it's just a really good experience. And I mean, we go over each other's houses and have sleepovers, so it's not even like working, it's just like hanging out with my family and friends. It's really cool.
And with the choreography that you're bringing up as well, is there also kind of like an element in the back of your mind of, okay, this is maybe how I would do this move, but this is how Courtney would do this move at certain moments?
Oh my gosh, yes. Like in season 1, I was like realizing like, wait, no, I'm dancing like how Dara would dance. And Courtney is not gonna dance like this. So how does Courtney dance? And one of the things I just love doing with Courtney, because I feel like she's just so bougie, like she's so extra. I just love like doing like my moves just very like, you know, little extra spice, a little extraness on top of it. Instead of how I would normally do it, which is like with my hat and kind of like in the background shy. But yeah, it's really fun, and it's changed a lot, and I feel like I've learned so much about Courtney through dancing. Yeah. Courtney doesn't dance that much, but I'm trying to get her to dance more. I'm literally trying to be like, hey, like if y'all need an extra dance number, holler at me. But yeah, I love the group numbers, and Courtney, I feel like Courtney is shining, and I'm really excited for people to see her shine this season.
She is. And similarly to that as well, you know, the vocal arrangement and the vocal performance that you're giving, again, is kind of focused in character, but there's different scopes to that. You know, there's moments where I'm performing as Courtney, as a character in Beauty and the Beast. And so what does that look like? Because I'm playing a character who is performing a character. And then there's moments where you're performing musical numbers, which are really a reflection of kind of an inner dialogue for your character as well. And so for you, how do those types of performances differ from each other? And what are the different aspects that you want to play to in Courtney?
Oh wow. Well, first things first, our show is like very meta. Like the fact that I'm playing a character in a character in a character. It's kind of like it's a little scary sometimes because I'm like, wait, I'm doing this move as Dara. Nope, as Courtney. Nope, as Mrs. Potts. Nope, as and it's like so many levels, especially in season 2, because we had so many different characters to play. But in season 3, I really feel like it kind of all meshes together. I can't say why. But it's all connected. I'm trying to figure out what to say without spoiling anything because I don't want Disney hitting my line because they sure will do that. So, but it all meshes together, and it doesn't even feel like it's someone different. It just all it comes together. How they wrote it and how they created it this season. It's really cool, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Is there a calibration in the musical performances as well, depending on where it is at the stage in developing a show? Because obviously there's a difference between what is it like for Courtney to walk in the room and be auditioning for a role, you know, to the different stages of rehearsal. How many times do you think she's done this number at this point? You know, we want to show some improvement to, you know, now it's opening night and this is what her performance is going to be like. It's going to be stage ready. And so how do you kind of calibrate those different levels so that there is always that growth and that evolution in how she's performing a role?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I'm a theater kid, so I grew up like in that life where it's like you know a little bit and then you slowly grow over time and slowly perfect your performance. I must say it was a little interesting, especially in season 2, because Courtney had very bad stage fright in season 2, and she overcomes it. But it was nerve-wracking because I felt like I played a little bit more of Dara in the beginning because I also have stage fright and I also get nervous and I'm like, you know, a little bit shy. So I played more into that, and then I slowly just began to play into Courtney, which is a completely different person, and it's almost like Sasha Fierce with Beyonce, like an alter ego that you have that gets you through the stage. But yeah, it was basically as if I was playing myself when I was in high school, doing the drama clubs and doing the drama plays, and manipulating that and slowly incorporating that within Courtney. And I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. It's kind of hard. I didn't realize how hard it was gonna be. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm playing 4 different characters. But I love it. I mean, the team that help us, like they literally pull us aside and it's like, okay, remember this is this time, like you're gonna be this person, like remember what this character aligns with and try not to get confused, or like remember we're only 2 weeks into rehearsal, so kind of keep that into mind. But they do an excellent job at that because I'll forget And I'm just like doing it full out. And they're like, wait, you're not supposed to be that good yet. And I was like, oh, sorry, my bad. And I redo it. But they really keep us in check, and they let us know every time, like what year is it or like what month it is into the play, which I really enjoy. What year it is? I'm sorry, it's the same year. What month or day?
Depends where it is in the school year.
You don't understand. I watch you guys all the time, so I'm like nervous. I'm so
my gosh. I also wanted to ask, because I've heard you mention Jason, who's a dialogue coach that works with you on the series, and I was interested in what some of the space or scope of scenes that he really helps you to finesse at certain times.
Oh my gosh, Jason has literally been like our ride or die since season 1. Like, I was so shocked that Jason was a part of our team. I was like, wait, you're our dialogue coach? Can I have a picture with you? But Jason really, really helps us. I mean, he lets us know, like, just so you know, this is the character that you're playing during this scene, and it's only been this amount of days, and this is how you should be feeling right now. And I mean, I couldn't have asked for like a better dialogue coach. Jason really like is always there, and I'm like, Jason, I need a little help on this scene. And he's like, don't worry, I got you. And he comes right over to the trailer. And he's also just a good person to be around. Like, it kind of just feels like our own personal counselor who like listens to our problems and listens to our new music and stuff that we create, and also helps us. I mean, he's amazing, and he does phenomenal in season 3. I mean, he really shines. And I was in awe of him, like watching him act, because I was like, wait, he's just been teaching us. Like, I haven't seen him really in the game for a minute. And so he just completely shines, and he's just great on and off the screen. And I couldn't have asked for a better dialogue coach and friend. He's such a great friend. Shout out to Jason.
And the show as well, of course, is so notorious for the fact that most of the musical numbers are performed live when you're filming the scenes. And that's a totally different way to have to come into a performance on set, because, even just vocally, there's something very different that you're doing, especially when it's alongside choreography or movement for your character at the same time. And so what is that kind of journey of preparation that you get to go through with the rest of the cast, and even just what you're doing at home, so that when you arrive on set, and is that also another space where you feel like your theater experience really comes into the foreground as well?
Oh yeah, I feel like all of our theater experiences really play a pivotal role in that aspect of creating what we create, because it's such a tedious thing a little bit. I mean, if you hadn't performed on stage, you would get so nervous, like, oh my gosh, like live, like in front of all these people, what? But I mean, my entire cast is so talented, and like we all have vocal lessons, and we all study our Broadway shows and study different riff techniques and different vocal techniques and acting techniques. And even while performing these numbers, like we go full out even in rehearsals, just so we can get our bodies used to it. It's almost like we're preparing for like an actual Broadway show, to like be able to do it multiple times without stopping, without hurting our voice or hurting our bodies. But it was a little scary at first. I was like, oh wait, I gotta like sing like right now in front of y'all, like no vocal recording, like just straight live like this. And they were like, yep. And I was like, oh snap. But I worked hard on that, because I was like, I gotta make sure my body is ready, I gotta make sure my voice is ready. So I would be like singing Beyonce on the treadmill, like trying to like belt and like riff while running, so I don't like stutter, because I also had to deal with like shyness. But yeah, it's just a lot of hard work, and also being able to trust your team, like trust my cast, because my cast is also on different songs with us, and we also do those live, and working with their voices alone is just a gift. And then also being able to dance with them is a gift. And dance and sing, I felt like Beyonce. I loved it.
And because so many aspects of the show get that great opportunity to look at what goes into putting on a performance, it's like the performance is kind of the end bit, but there's a whole season leading up to that you get to kind of show that process and that journey for these characters. For you personally, because that's also similar to what's going on behind the scenes for you as a performer, what are some of those aspects of the behind the scenes and the process that you really relish, or are some of your favorite things to be able to show on camera and to be able to bring to the foreground for audiences to really understand that scope of what it takes?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Period. I guess it's really good. I must say that I've learned a lot because, usually most of the time when I do a show with my classmates or I do it with my own performing arts studio, I'm on stage. Like I'm not really educated on what the crew does or what the costume designer is doing or the director or the stage manager. And I feel as though like it gave me a lot of consideration, and it also gave me a lot of information as to how important those jobs are. And I always was like, oh yeah, I could stage manage. And then after reading what a stage manager does, I was like, oh snap, like y'all are working. Like, hold on, wait a second. But I just feel like it's made a lot of people more educated on how important a production is and how everyone's part and everyone's role plays so pivotally into the entire production, and how we're all important and we all need to treat each other equally and just become more educated in those roles. And it just made me so grateful to be able to work with people who are just so excellent in creating a realistic perception of what goes on behind the screen. So I love it. I was like, go y'all. Snaps.
I love that answer. And, I'm so glad that this is a character that they originally envisioned as one episode, but realized the moment that you were there should be a series regular and such a central part of the show. It's been so great to watch that growth and that arc. So thank you so much for talking all about it. Really appreciate it, Dara.
Oh my gosh. Oh wait, are we done?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you for your patience. I was so nervous because I watch you guys all the time.
That means so much. Thank you.